Hi and welcome back to my channel. I have another book review for you today, and this is for The Trouble with Picket Fences, and this is actually the third book in the Love Struck Vermont series from Harlequin Special Edition. Now, usually when I get a second or third book for review, I will write a series review on my blog because I'll always go back to my library or Scribd or sometimes even Audible and get the first two books in the series. But what I did in this case is I did go read Baby Lessons and A Firehouse Christmas Baby, but I did not write those reviews. I just, my time sometimes gets away from me. As a matter of fact, it's been probably a week or 2 weeks since you had a review video. So I just wanted to let you know that those first two books, and I will pop up those covers, Baby Lessons and A Firehouse Christmas Baby, they were really, really good. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you about this book is I read this book here, The Trouble with Picket Fences, which was book 3, and then I went back and read book 1 and then book 2. So when I read books 1 and 2, I already knew just a wee bit about the primary protagonist. But this book here, The Trouble with Picket Fences, was just so good that I felt I would have robbed myself of something enjoyable if I did not go back and grab those two books from my library. So that's my little history about this series. Now, I'm a bit behind because this book was released on March 30th and today is April 13th, and my blog tour for this book review was April the 2nd. But I am playing catch up, so you're going to hear several reviews over the next couple of days for books that were already released. So all that notwithstanding, what is The Trouble with Picket Fences about? Well, we have two protagonists because it's a romance. First of all Harlequin books are romances, but then there are Harlequin suspense and things of that nature, or there are the inspirational books with like Amish romances and so forth. But this is a simple romance between a man and a woman, and what this story does is it develops their relationship. So what we have here is we have Melanie Carlisle broke up from a long-term relationship with her boyfriend, almost fiance. As a matter of fact, I'm not even quite sure. They might even became engaged. But what happened was is she decided after years of being with this guy that she wanted to start a family. And she was a successful businesswoman, so he says to her, "You're not cut out for babies and picket fences." Well, that's all she needed. Relationship over. She was starting her life on her own and on her own terms. So the first thing she did is she got pregnant by a sperm bank, and no, that's not a spoiler. The second thing she did was to find a place that she could start a business. What it ended up being was a boutique. And the third thing was finding a new place to live. So she buys a house, and when she gets this house, what does she see? She sees a white picket fence surrounding that house. Now, when she goes into this beautiful town, which is called Love Struck, she notices that it's a trend. White picket fences to the right, to the left, in front of her, behind her. That may be the case, but it's not going to be the case with her house. So she decides to head over to the local hardware store to find whatever tools she may need to uproot, to pull up that fence, because of what she was told by her previous relationship. So she's in this hardware store. She's looking at these tools. She's not handy like that. And then she sees a guy standing in front of a bank of tools. So she grabs a hold of the tool in her hand and she thrusts it towards him and says, "What is this?" And the guy, and I'll tell you his name now, he's Cap McBride. Cap is a nickname given to him by the people at his firehouse because he's the captain of his firehouse, and over the course of years, everybody calls him Cap. So here he sees a beautiful woman standing in front of him with, I think it was like a sledgehammer or something of that nature. And she's like, "What is this? What is this for?" And whatever the tool it was, he kind of describes it. She goes, "Well, you look like a big, burly, manly guy. I need you to do a job for me." And he's rather confused because she's quite forward. But he's also curious. "Well, what's this job?" "I need you to uproot my picket fence." "Okay, let's go take a look at it. Let's see if I can dismantle it." So he goes with her to her house. He does notice she's in a delicate position meaning he notices she's pregnant, so he doesn't want her to take on this task by herself. So he decides to do it, and he works at it. And the thing is, when he looks at her, he thinks that she looks rather familiar, but he knows that he's never seen her around town. But there's just something in the back of his mind that tells him that she's kind of familiar. Now, she does have a history. She was once Miss America, the lemonade queen. And it was when she served him a glass of ice cold lemonade that he starts to put two and two together. I know who she is. Now let me tell you a little bit about Cap McBride. By the way, that was 20 years ago that she was received the crown. So Cap McBride is, again, I had mentioned he's a captain of his firehouse. Now, he has a couple of things that are really difficult for him. One is he's a single father with a teenager that he's trying to do a great job with his teenage son. Obviously, he's trying to do a great job at the firehouse. But he has a hearing condition, a recently diagnosed hearing condition. If he achieves the hearing loss that this condition could present over time, then he could lose his career. That's a very, very serious part of this book. Okay? So, meanwhile, Melanie goes into town. I have a piece of cat hair somewhere bothering me. Melanie goes into town, out of town to a doctor's office to deal with her prenatal appointments. Cap is going out of town to a doctor's office to deal with his hearing treatment. And they find that the medical building is the same building. So he starts spending time with her with the fence situation, but also running into her at this medical building. And that's the story there. That's it. It's a sweet, loving romance. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Loved it so much that after I read this book, I immediately went and got those other two books that I told you guys about. So that's it. If you like romances, quick reads, I think 256 pages, something like that. Or 288 pages, I just scrolled up. If you like quick reads, if you like romances that are kind of on the sweet side, grab this Love Struck Vermont series. There's 3 books in it, and you really enjoy it. I had no trouble getting the first 2 from my library, so I imagine the third one is already there as well. So that's this review, and I'll be back with more. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.